Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by now. Here's JP.
Oh, hearty Monday morning to you as we get started on this week of Tampa Bay sports. Very interesting weekend to get to, and of course, we're going to get to all of it for you guys. Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining us here. Nick Geddes is with me from On3 Sports. We got a big Rays weekend. Man, a lot of Yankee fans at the Trop once again. A pretty good showing from the Rays. Bucks mini camp all weekend long. Of course, we got the NHL and NBA playoffs to talk about. More controversy and goalie interference. I don't know if you saw that last night, Nick. Good morning to you. How are you?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
I did. Those the stinking Panthers have turned into quite the.
They're a juggernaut.
Yeah, they are a juggernaut.
They're a
yes,
juggernaut.
they are a juggernaut. There's no
This
doubt
year.
about that. It makes me feel a little bit better about the Lightning. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And I also feel like, had the Bruins not tanked and we had them first series, the Lightning would still be playing. Now, they might have the same outcome against the Panthers. I'm not going to bellyache about that, but they certainly would have beaten the Bruins.
The Lightning have put up a better fight than the Bruins did.
No question. So, but whatever is what it is. Lightning will get a better start on next season, but I think I'm still sticking to my pick that the Panthers are going to win it all. What do you think?
Yeah, I have no reason to deviate from my plan, which was Panthers in the East, and in the West I had Dallas, but I didn't account for the fact that Dallas has to go through Colorado in the second round.
Yeah,
and that's a doozy of a series, and then Vancouver and Edmonton waiting after that. The West is tough. The West has those four teams that are in a different stratosphere. The East has Florida, New York, and then everybody else is like tiers below.
Yeah, Florida and New York's going to be good as we anticipate that matchup. That's going to be a war. But we'll get into some of the other calls and all that other stuff and something because we always start local here. You know that. We're going to get into some sound with Graham Barton, Kalen DeLoach from the Bucks this weekend. J.C. Allen's going to join us. He was out there all weekend at the rookie show. I've been watching a lot of the clips that are coming out. You see how guys move. So we'll talk some Bucks. We'll get into the Rays. It was an interesting weekend for the Rays. When you hold Stanton and Judge and Soto and that whole group to what they did, you should come out and you should win. You should win a few games, and they didn't really. They had an opportunity there. They pitched pretty well at times, but the bullpen let them down. So we'll get into the Rays as well. I don't. Did you go to any of the games this weekend? I didn't know if you were planning on going.
No, I couldn't make it to any of the games this weekend. But I watched all of them on TV, obviously, and I'm just here to before we even get to the games. I officially just hate playing the Yankees in the Trop. Like as a kid, I used to love going to Yankee games because it was the games where the stadium was full.
Yeah.
Okay. Just full disclosure. When I was a kid, I loved going to those Yankee fans, and when you saw Jeter and A-Rod and Teixeira and Rivera and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
It brought out the best and the worst of Yankee fans. It felt hostile inside the and it felt like more of a true 50-50 split. Recently, it feels way more lopsided. Like I went to a Yankee game last year, and my section that I was sitting in was surrounded by nothing but white and gray Yankee jerseys all over the place.
Yeah.
And in the Trop, it's like I had a hard time like figuring out like if we were playing at home because it's like
there were more Yankee fans.
Every time like, the Yankees did something, there was this loud cheer. And then when the Rays did something, there was like almost like this borderline boo. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, like, I don't know. It feels like recently it's gotten worse.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot, some of it is Yankee fans will spend the money to go buy the tickets. The tickets, with the exception of the $10 tickets, which are, limited to, I think, 1,000 a game and get bought up pretty quick. The rest of them are super expensive, and the Yankee fans will do it because it's kind of a one-off for them. They're not coming to all the games at Tropicana Field. Where I think Rays fans, and this is going to kind of be my opening monologue here this morning, because there becomes this diminishing returns factor that's happening in the Buck Stadium and the Lightning Stadium and in the Rays Stadium. Is that you're starting to get fans who don't want to pay the big prices and can get big prices for their tickets. And I think this is more Bucks and Rays related, a little bit less Lightning related, but it happens there too. When these fans come in and they'll pay the elevated prices for their one-off, and then it starts to snowball the other way. And Rays fans, I think you hear this from Rays fans, is like, I'm not going to spend the extra dollars to go to the Yankees games because I'm going to be shouted down by Yankee fans. So I got to pay more money to be shouted down by Yankee fans. I've heard Buck fans say this as well. And we're going to have Brian Ford on the show a little bit later on this week. So we'll ask him about what they're doing. I think the Bucks are really, making an effort really to try to weed out Bucks fans that sell their tickets. And to other fan bases, and I think it's a problem all across our stadiums. And I have a hard time. You know me, I really have a hard time, going after the regular guy who's really, really struggling right now and telling them how they should spend their money and how they should sell their, get money if they have an opportunity to sell tickets, because it's tough. But it's just, as a fan base, I just feel like we got to be better. We just got to be better across the board.
Well, I get more hard on the Bucks than the other two, because the other two, there's 41 games, 41 for the NHL, and then 81 for MLB. Like, I'm aware of that. There's a lot of other people that live here that are not from here. Probably I'm outnumbered as a Tampa resident. I'm sure I'm outnumbered as a Tampa native born here.
Yeah.
And that just comes with the territory, and we all know that. That's nothing new. But I'm more hard on the Bucks when it happens because it's 8 home games.
Right.
It's 8 home games. Remember, we talked about it last year.
Ticket holder, be a season ticket holder.
Right. And we talked about it last year, whether it was the Detroit game, whether it was the Philly game.
Yeah, those were embarrassing.
And those are embarrassing.
The players noticed and they talked about it.
Right.
Not cool. No, I think, I've kind of grown up in this market as a sportscaster getting credentials, right? But recently I've been more of a fan. I've bought more tickets, not for Rays games, obviously. But so I think you have a better perspective than I do. And fans, I'd love to hear you guys chime in on this. Is that a reason why you don't go to some games? Over the weekend, there was, some threads going around like, the old, I walked into a sports bar and I had to tell them to put the Rays game on. I'm like, yeah, this happens all the time.
This happened to me on Saturday. I went out to lunch with I met my grandparents for lunch, and I looked around, and I was in like a very big sports bar, TVs everywhere. I looked around, and I'm like, what, the name of the place?
Got to name names.
It was a Bubba's 33 in Brandon.
Yeah, great place. Love
great
that
place. And I looked around, and I'm like, how in the world is the Rays and the Yankees playing? At this point, it was like the third inning of the game on a Saturday. I'm like, how in the world is the Rays and the Yankees are playing in this city, by the way?
Yeah.
And it's not on any of these TVs right now. Yet I'm watching.
Especially since it's the Yankees.
Right. Especially, I'm like, even if it's like, the Rays, we forgot about it, whatever. Like, you're playing the Yankees. We should know. And yet I have Paul Skeen's debut on the television around there. I've got all this other random stuff that was going on Saturday, and I'm like, where the heck is where's the Rays game? Insane.
And and we get the threads on the people are reluctant to call the places out. Call them out. We're not boycotting them. We're calling them out to say, because Bubba's is a great place. Love that place. But let's get it right.
Yeah, and
let's put some pressure on them.
I initially thought like, oh, well, maybe they don't have, Bally's or whatever, because how you can only get Bally's on certain things.
Yeah, right.
But I've been to Bubba's so many times. I've watched a million Lightning games there with it on Bally's. So I know they have
it. And if you're a sports bar, for God's sakes, spend the $20 a month or whatever it costs. You got to have the freaking home teams.
I would agree with that.
My God. Yeah, I mean, because you want to stand up for your team. You want to, when other fan groups come at you, you want to be able to stand and stay proud. But it's hard. It's hard. And it's endemic to this area. And I know we're transplanted. I get all that. But it's, it's partly on ownership. Ownership has to find a way to hold their ticket holders more accountable. That's part of it. But mostly it's on the fan. It's on the fan. We got to buy the tickets, and we got to stop selling our tickets to the other team. Now, of course, in baseball, the Rays have 0 home season ticket fan base to speak of. So it's not like,
Do you know that I filled out a questionnaire, by the way, for season tickets, just because I was perusing around to see how much it was? Probably about a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you this. I filled out just like a questionnaire online, or I don't even know if I filled out a questionnaire. I think I was just on the website, maybe just looking at season ticket things, and I don't know how it happened. I get a call from it. It popped up on my phone 2 weeks ago. It said Tampa Bay Rays, and I was like, "That's weird." And I didn't answer it, and I got a voicemail, and it was some guy from the ticket department, and like, you recently contacted us about season ticket information, and we'd love to go over the packages and everything.
They're watching you.
I know. Yes. I was so confused. I was like, that was like 2 months ago. Like, this is so random.
No, dude, every click you make is sold online. Every click you make is sold online. They know what you're looking at. They know they're listening to you on your phone. Just try it out someday. Just hold your phone and say, pick an area. Let's go North Carolina vacation. I'm speaking into my phone. North Carolina vacation, Blue Ridge Parkway. And then within the next day in your feed, you will get nothing but, hey, vacation spots in North Carolina. Hey, check out the Blue Ridge Parkway Lodge. It's scary. It's ridiculously scary. But especially if you go on a website and you click on it and you're looking at tickets, then they are targeting you. But I didn't put my phone number in. You don't need to. They already have your information.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, how'd you get my phone number?
Yeah, and you're geofenced. If you go to a game, your phone is geofenced. So they know that you're there. They got your phone number, and now they can market to you that way as well. So with all that being said, we got to be better as fans. And I wonder, if you're a Rays fan and you were at the game yesterday, does that piss you off? I mean, are you just used to it? Now, sometimes I kind of like it because if it's good nature banter back and forth and you're winning, it's bye-bye Yankee fan, bye-bye Bruins fans, bye-bye Montreal fans. It's kind of fun, but it's not a good look. And,
no,
as
I don't like
here,
it. Like I said, I used to like it because I feel like it used to be more of an even split. And I think the gap has gotten wider. Like, I'm all for like the 50-50 split at certain sporting events. I kind of like that dynamic where it feels, like I said, the word hostility. It feels like it's in the crowd a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. In the moment of the game adds to it. But right now, like, you go to a Yankee Rays game, you're outnumbered.
Yeah.
And that I don't like. That's when I just start to get a little pissed off about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and I'm watching the game on TV, and it's like, you see on Saturday's game, or, when the Rays hit a ball, hit a home run, Yandy leads off, it's a cheer. And then, on Sunday's game, when you hear one of the 5 New York home runs, and it's like, wow, that was way louder. Let's
be honest too. The New York sports fan and the Tampa Bay sports fan, 2 completely different set of fans. Like, I feel like even if the New York fans weren't outnumbering the Rays fans, boy, the ones they have there, when they do something well, they go nuts.
Yeah.
They stand and they jump, and like, it's like a party for them. It's a little different in Tampa in a lot of fan bases. So the New York, I do understand that the rabidness of the New York fan base is going to create that too.
I wonder what ownership can do in terms of, doing some education, having the players come out, do some promos. Maybe we can do something, as part of our show and Fan Stream Sports is, start doing some education videos on, when to cheer, how to cheer, to be better as fans. I mean, if they had the players, but again, it's on the organizations too. The ticket prices, should there be, and I know it's hard to do, but if you have certain zip codes for your credit cards, you get cheaper prices. You get a hometown discount. Can we not have a Florida resident discount for season tickets as well, for ticket packages? I don't like when you looked at the Rays ticket packages. Remember, they were offering the all you can go to $30 a month package. What happened to that? Because I thought that was a great idea. I know other teams are doing that. Are they still offering that? I know they did the $10 tickets, but those are limited. It still like, it's still, I'm sure ownership is still soaking, raising. They have elevated prices for Yankee series, the tier 1. And it just, for fans, I think it's a turnoff. You price your own fans out of the building. because the Yankee fans as a one-off will buy them. And the Rays fans will wait till, the other teams come here when it's not as many Yankee fans and the tickets are cheaper. And
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you're kind of encouraging that.
I mean, they have like flexible season memberships and everything where you can choose your games and your seats throughout the season.
Yeah.
That way you're not like locked into like they have an option, like obviously a traditional season membership, I think they call it, where you legitimately have tickets to every game, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and you look at the market in general, most markets our size have 2 or 3 sports radio stations. We can barely support one, and it's 19th in the ratings. We have one sports station and it's 19th in the ratings. I mean, that's crazy. That's nuts. It's bananas. Like you look at other markets, there are 2 or 3 sports radio stations, and the number one is always in the top 2 or 3 in terms of ratings, always. And if there's one dominant station in a market our size, it's a clear number one. So maybe there just aren't that many sports fans here, or maybe they're underserved. I don't know what it is, but this is not and I hate to say this because I love Tampa Bay sports. It's my passion. We live and breathe it. You and I both, but it's just our fandom. We just need to be better. And all of us, the radio shows need to be better. The TV shows need to be better. There needs to be more of them. And maybe that's part of the problem. It's just not as prevalent as, back in the 90s and the early aughts. And, as I'm working at Channel 8, we're doing hour-long specials. We did an hour-long pregame show for every Bucks game with like 25 people involved. I mean, huge production value. They don't do that anymore. They can't afford it. Basically, it's not that the sports guys don't want to do it. Dan Lucas and company, yeah, they want to do it, but their budgets have been slashed so much. It just doesn't seem like there's the same commitment from the only real entity that's covering all the teams is the Times, and that's behind a paywall. How many people are doing that? Clearly, they have a lot of financial issues.
Well, what would be the test for me to see how loyal, I guess, the Tampa fan is? Because I'm trying not to compare things to what happened 15 years ago. I bring up the Lightning. Because the Lightning 15 years ago had horrible attendance, but the product on the ice sucked.
Yeah.
Now,
you're talking pre-2004?
No. I mean pre-Jeff Vinik buying the team. Like that period from 2007 to 2010.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was lean.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Lightning for the majority of the time after that have been one of the better hockey teams in the NHL, Stanley Cups, all that stuff. Great ownership. They've done so many things to like invite new fans to the Lightning. So I'd be curious if the Lightning were to fall off in their play. I'm not asking for this to happen, but you know how it goes. There's always cycles to these things.
Of course. Especially with salary cap league.
Yeah. If and when the Lightning start to fall off in their play, I'm curious to see what Amalie Arena looks like throughout the season. And I feel like that will be because those tickets are not cheap to go to. We know that. At the Lightning, it's more of a. I feel like they make it more of an upsell thing.
Season ticket base.
They have a huge season ticket base. Correct. So I'd be curious to see what Amalie Arena looks like when the Lightning aren't doing well now, as to compare to what it looked like 15 years ago.
Well, 2 straight years they haven't won a playoff series. Okay, and we're not going to sit here and tell you that this year's home performance was at an elite level. It was not. They were not not as entertaining and as good a team this year in the regular season. If it's not for that late stretch, they don't even make the playoffs, right? The first half of the season was average at best. So, but the attendance did not. I mean, I think it ticked down a little bit. Just to the naked eye, you could see a lot more empty seats. But this is the difference. This is the difference, especially between the Rays and the Lightning, which is a little more apples to apples because of the number of games, right? So this is where the grassroots marketing of 20, or 10, how many years is it now that Jeff's owned the team? 12, 13 years? When did he buy it? In 10?
I thought he bought it in like 2010, no?
10, somewhere around there. So, but that, treating the fan with respect from the very beginning, getting those, going out into the schools like they've done. Their grassroots marketing in the Lightning have been second to none. Fans first. The Todd Leiweke came up a lot. They have done such a fantastic job. Just the community hero. these things, I mean, they have made fans for life. Just having the kids play on the ice, going it, having the players come to their local schools and elementary school and handing out hockey sticks. That makes freaking, you talk about that when it happened in your school, right? You don't like when you're a kid and some NHL kid comes to your elementary school and gives you a hockey stick, you're like, oh my God. I mean, you're a fan for life. And they've been really, really smart about doing that. The Rays haven't done that. They've pissed off their fans. They've done just the opposite. So when it's so,
well, I don't know what they do.
Fickle fan base.
I'm not as familiar.
The stadium.
I'm not as familiar what they do now, obviously, in this, but I because you brought up the thing about when you're a kid and everything, and someone gives you I remember when I was playing baseball back in the day in that 2008 season at one of my baseball camps in Brandon,
right?
Okay, which is not obviously that close to St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember, there was a day where Scott Kazmir came out, and BJ came out too, and basically did like a little clinic with us and everything, and signed all this stuff for us. So I do have that memory.
Yeah,
of course. So I don't know if I'm sure they still do that stuff, and maybe we just don't see it, or it's not. I don't know. But I do remember, I did have those experiences as a kid, and that does it makes everybody, even if you're the kid there that's wearing the Yankee shirt, you're like, well, the Rays' best pitcher is over here now,
Yeah,
and you want to be a fan of that guy and that team.
Yeah, I know that the Lightning have
that's a big thing with the Rays. I do think that's a big thing for the Rays is that they are the youngest of the sports teams in this market.
Mm-hmm.
With all the New York fans that are here, the Boston fans, the St. Louis fans, hell, the Toronto fans, to be honest with you, because they have a pretty good presence because of Dunedin.
Yeah, right.
It's going to take a little bit of time to get the younger fan base maybe moving.
Yeah,
maybe they're a generation away. I don't know, because if you're already established, you're not just going to be like, oh, I live in Tampa now, so now I'm going to be a Rays fan. That just doesn't happen, really.
I just think the combination of the location, the lack of grassroots marketing, all those things
with all that stuff
have kept the Rays from being, having a loyal fan base and a season ticket.
But at the same time, again, the ratings on TV are through the roof.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing that tells you locate the stadium better. And we'll talk in the second hour a little bit about what happened on Friday in the meeting and all that stuff. It's just, and I think, but across the board, I think there needs to be something intentional by the teams and by the local media to start, taking more ownership of our stadiums. I think that's fair to say. We need to do a better job. We just do. I hate to call out the fans, especially in terms of money in this ridiculous economy. Hopefully we correct this ridiculousness we're doing. And we can get back to, making some money and not having to pay gazillions of dollars for gas and everything else, whatever. But it's part of it. Right now, the economy is hard on people. And I think New Yorkers will spend the extra money. And, for Rays fans, it's not as easy. And I get that. All right. So let's go on the field. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. I think you see on Friday, Taj Bradley looked fantastic, by the way. That's
way different guy than last year.
He looked more mature, more at ease. When he got in a couple little situations that used to kind of blow up on him. Last year he'd cruise through 3 or 4 strikeout, 8 guys in 3 innings. And you're like, oh, this guy's untouchable. And then he'd walk a couple guys and he'd just implode. And that didn't happen. And they lost 2-0. Rizzo had a nice day on Friday, but that Rays lineup just anemic at times, right? You just don't see any answers in it at times. And that was Friday. They lose 2-0. They come back and win on Saturday. Yandy, starts it off with a big home run. Zach Littell was great again. So they get 2 great starts. And then yesterday, Alexander gets beat up early on. The Yankees hit 5 home runs. I mean, nice Rays comeback. Siri hits the grand slam and you're right back in it. And then, back to back, I don't want to say the Yankees pitchers are throwing at heads, but, back to back.
Has it happened twice,
2 different pitchers, drill Rays players in the head.
And one of them was a curveball, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah,
but the one to Paredes in that moment. I mean,
Weaver,
you want to talk about
bases loaded? You're not hitting the guy.
You want to talk about centimeters from disaster?
I know.
I mean, that was, and if you watch it in real time, it's it's almost borderline hard to watch, to be honest with you. Paredes is very, very lucky in that moment, but no, I mean. Listen, you mentioned Taj. He was great on Friday. I thought equally. I mean, Clark Schmidt was fantastic for the Yankees.
He was.
I know the Rays lineup
His
You would
stuff
have
is
wanted them to
really
get
good.
things going, but he was really good on Friday. I have to
Yeah.
say that sweeper he was throwing was
That thing
just
was moving like
nasty. He was nasty. That was one of those games where I know we like to poo-poo on the offense, but I
Right.
tipped my cap to him.
No, he was hitting his spots. That was a tough hit.
Right.
He was really, really good.
Saturday though, I thought Saturday might have been one of the most complete games, if not the most complete game the Rays have played all year. It was finally like the offense and the pitching and the starting pitching and the bullpen, like all three facets of the game were in sync.
Yeah.
Right. And we haven't gotten that more often than not this year. And of course, that was also the game where Yandy, hits 3 balls over 100 miles an hour and the leadoff home run.
Right.
And Randy hits the home run to the opposite field, the 3-run home run in the second or third inning there.
Yep.
So that was the first game all year that you had Yandy and Randy at the top of the order, both doing
Making
their
contact.
job.
Yes.
And shocker, look at what it did for the offense when those two guys are leading the way. So Saturday was great. Yesterday was an important start for Tyler Alexander because there's about to be a crunch in this rotation pretty soon.
He's the odd man out.
I thought this would have been his last audition. Not great.
You know what I was thinking though when I'm watching Taj? He's got closer stuff. He's got swing and miss.
I think he's got ace stuff.
He does. No question about it.
There more.
Well, do you? Now, right now, maybe. Look at the starting staff is starting to look really good, except for Savali. Savali's a disaster right now. So, yeah, I would love to have him, start every 5 days, but I also like to have him pitch 3 out of 5 and come in a huge situation. We don't have anybody to do that right now.
Well, I told you. Well, Fairbanks is back, and I know I heard he made some kind of adjustment.
I don't trust. I love him.
He looked good. He looked good on Saturday. That was good to see. He's kind of like Brandon Lau. You got to cross your finger. You got to.
I'm not saying go do it now. I'm just like in the back of my mind, I'm watching. I'm going.
Well, I've mentioned Shane Bass to you as a guy that I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him in a late inning role this year, but he hasn't looked good at all actually in AAA at the moment.
Yeah, he's struggling.
He's struggling down there, but no, I think they need Taj in that rotation. And then listen, I mean, the cool thing I learned, what was it, on Saturday or Friday maybe, when Jeffrey Springs was in the booth, and it sounds like he's getting ready to ramp things up, and he might be back a little earlier than expected.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget how great Jeffrey Springs is, and get him back in your rotation. Like they got a lot of. I'm telling you, there's going to be a roster crunch here. That's going to be really interesting to see how they play out.
All right, and before we hit the break, we got JC Allen. We're going to get into our Buck stuff from minicamp. And after I just lauded, we need to be better fans. Can I just say, the Yankees are freaking good. The Yankees are really, really good. We're 7 games back. The Yankees are really freaking good. Volpe's a hell of a shortstop, and he can hit, and he's a fire starter. Their defense is really good. Their starting pitching is good. Their lineup is freaking end-to-end just ridiculous. And this, what is it, Jahmai Jones? Trevino's hitting bombs, hitting 2 bombs.
Yeah, the 8 and 9 guys were killing them yesterday.
Your 8 and 9 guys are killing you.
And for the most part, they kept Judge and Soto in check.
Yeah, to 2, 3, 4 guys, I think had 4 hits and all came on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, so, Judge got a home run, but I mean, that team is really freaking good.
But the Rays, I know the Rays have only won 2 of the 6 against the Yankees this year, but they've been in every game. Even yesterday, that game, they got that game to 6-5, and they reloaded the bases.
Yes.
With 1 out.
Yeah,
and
they had
Palacio,
a chance to have
soft liner to right,
comeback of the ages like they did last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
they didn't do it, and that was the moment in the game right there.
Yeah.
You had to be greedy. I know you got 4, but you had to be greedy there.
So now they got the Red Sox, who, by the way, this just in, have the best ERA in baseball. They're going to fetch 3 pitchers with like two ERAs, starting pitchers. And then you got Toronto, and then you got the Sox. So you got divisional games coming up, and good pitching against this Rays team seems to really, shut them down. So this is an important stretch for this team right now. They just fell under 500 again. They can't go out on the road and play like they did on their last road trip against 2 bad teams and do this against good teams. It could get ugly. So this is a really, really important road trip.
The thing is Toronto, we'll get to Toronto eventually, but Toronto's struggling way worse than the Rays right now.
Yeah, they are. But but they've got Boston first.
They got Boston first, and their lineup's beat up, and they have like one of the worst defenses in the entire league. But their pitching, like you said, has been just otherworldly so far.
Yeah. You got to score runs to win. So, all right, we'll take a quick break. We're brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. Get the free 3-pack. Try hydrateheroes.com. Just go to the website, put in some quick information. They'll mail you the 3-pack, and you will be addicted to it like I am. 8 times the benefits, all kinds of electrolytes, only 5 calories. It tastes fantastic. None of the bad stuff, the stimulants, the sugars, and all that crazy stuff that you're going to find in most hydration and energy drinks. Just good stuff for you. Hydrate Heroes. Try hydrateheroes.com. That's HEROES.com. And the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Doing a lot of spelling here today. Quick break. JC Allen coming up next. We're going to talk about the rookie minicamp and who opened some eyes this weekend. Stay with us. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta. Big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. Hope you guys got your Mother's Day right. I did. I hit a home run there. Feedback was good. So, yeah, hope you guys did. The Golden Diamond Source still has great stuff on sale. Post Mother's Day, if you screwed up, definitely get over there to the Golden Diamond Source. They've got all the great selection. As always, the biggest selection. If you're looking to get engaged this summer, you got to go there, just like Nick and I both did, and see the great staff there. They're always so extremely helpful. So if you did screw up, they'll help you. So get in there today and make sure you can make amends. Don't worry. Just go get a gift card. You'll be fine. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. All right, we got JC up and running.
Yep.
JC Allen, Sports Illustrated. What's up, my friend? How are you?
What's going on, guys? How are you doing?
You were watching football this weekend, weren't you?
Oh, my God. It was so good to be back, man. I mean, there's no pads, so you're not hearing the clashing of pads and stuff like that. Maybe a couple of helmet taps when they're, doing 11-on-11 stuff. But just the whistles, being back at $1 plays, just means we're one step closer to the season starting up, which is always a good thing.
Well, we did get some NFL news this morning. We're starting with Ravens at the Chiefs on the Thursday night, Lamar versus Mahomes. And we'll get the Bucs schedule on Wednesday. Brian Ford's going to join us with all the inside scoop on tickets and travel and all that stuff, probably Thursday or Friday. But looking forward to the schedule release this week. That should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Bucs, they might have been in the running to open up against the Chiefs, but there's not enough star power there. But they will face them later at Arrowhead sometime later in the season, and I'm excited. That's my away game. Usually I pick one or two away games that I go to. That's going to be the one I go to. So can't wait to see if the hype really lives up to it about how loud it is, and maybe CT Swift. Who knows?
You might. I think Nick just gave you the side eye. Did you just give him the side eye, Nick?
Nick's not a Swiftie. Come on, you just dropped a double album here, man.
JC, I'm married now. I'm
To
very
a
aware.
Swiftie.
I'm very aware, JC, that she dropped it.
Sounds like a man who had to shell out $2,000 to go see Taylor Swift last year.
See, JC, this is why we own credit cards. And we have separate credit cards at that. So she went off with her friends. I did not go to that Taylor Swift concert, but yes, your number there is pretty close. Your number there is pretty close.
Wow. We just had some friends. The mom flew the daughters over to Paris, got VIP for Taylor Swift. I'm like, that's $50K. That whole deal right there has got to be $50K.
Oh yeah,
no question about it.
At least somewhere around there.
I don't know how we got on this, but I blame you, JC Allen.
It's my fault.
And Kelsey got his extension, so now he can get drunk all the time with Taylor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Let's get back to the Bucs. And I was watching some of the videos you were putting out, and the one thing I saw quickly, Graham Barton, man, for a big dude, he is quick. He looks enormous. He looks super agile, super fast, and very at home at the center position. I know we're not blocking anybody, but you can pick up things by just watching offensive linemen's feet and their athleticism, and that dude's got it without question. What are your thoughts on what you saw from him?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough without pads to really know what's going on. This is mostly just technique and install and see how much they retain and carry over from, the day before the walkthrough and stuff. And, I think Graham Barton really showed his leadership skills. He took over the offensive line. He took over the breakdowns before and after practice. And that's what you want to see. But, all those movements that you mentioned, the quickness, the ability to, get off the ball quickly and, drive up into whether it be pads or at this point, air. A little bit, when they're going on 11-on-11, it's not, you're not banging too hard in there, but, just very quick off the ball. Very twitchy on the inside. His hand placement is going to be well suited at center. And I think he's just going to be a stud. I don't really see, after getting to see him work at the position, I don't see a realm of possibility where he probably doesn't win the center job. Right. Whether he plays there his rookie year is one thing or another. The best five might be with Hainsey at center and pushing him over at guard, but I don't see a situation where he's not going to be a tremendous center for the Bucks for years to come.
Agreed. What else caught your eye out there? We'll just put it open to you to tell us what you saw.
So let's just stay on the offensive line. Elijah Klein, I mean, I think Brian Baldinger said it best when he broke down his video. Dude's as wide as a fridge. I mean, he's big. And one thing that really surprised me was, you know, he ran a slower 40 time. I think it was like 5.45 or something, 5.54, somewhere around there. But his get off when the ball was snapped, he was right there with Graham Barton. So again, you know, he's a tough, nasty dude. They had him at right guard, and I know they talked about maybe moving, you know, Moke over to the left side if that's best for him. And I think when you look at Klein and you look at everyone else, Sue Opita, who they signed in free agency, is probably the favorite right now to start at guard, whether that's left or right side. But, you know, watching him, I think there's a real chance that he challenges and he gets himself into that competition. And we spoke to Coach Carberry on Monday, the offensive line coach, and I kind of asked him, like, how do you know, obviously experience versus talent, that the rookie, if a guy like Klein is the more talented guy, but doesn't have any experience, and you're putting him next to a guy like Barton, who's a rookie, like, where do you outweigh that talent versus experience? And he said, you know, it just comes down to reps. Like, if you're winning your reps, if you're doing the right there, I mean, there's some mistakes you're going to make as a rookie, obviously. But, you know, if you're the more talented guy at the position and you're winning your reps and showing that you can handle it, then, you know, we're going to roll with you. So Klein was impressive just as a sheer size factor. The German international player, Lorenz Metz, is 6'9", dude towers over everybody. He's huge. So, you know, staying on the offensive side of the ball, Bucky Irving is advertised. Obviously, again, you can't really see because it's a running game. But just his shiftiness, his quickness, his decisiveness when a running lane opens to get through there. They're just tagging guys out at this point, but still, you know, at like a couple runs, like the second guy tagged him because he made the first guy miss. And like, those are the things that we talked about with him. I think it's going to be a tremendous compliment to Rachaad White. We didn't get to see the power, you know, obviously, you know, for a 5'9", 202, 205 back, you know, you don't think he generates a lot of power, but you turn on the film and he does. He plays much bigger than his size. I mean, you know, he said he has a consistent chip on his shoulder throughout his life because people look at his size and say, oh, you know, he can't run like this, but he just, wherever he goes, he shows that he can. So he really stood out. They did a lot of run fits on day 2 of minicamp compared to day 1. And even his hands too, just, you know, like indie drills when they're just tossing the ball to the running back, and a couple times in 11-on-11, 7-on-7s over the weekend, just, you know, bringing the ball in, securing it, turning upfield, quick with his cut. So he's just a fluid athlete. And, you know, you talk about fluidity, Jalen McMillan makes it look easy out there. He is just so decisive with his route running, in and out of his breaks, got strong hands. He had a nice catch down the right sideline, you know, high pointing it over 2 defenders. I think he's going to be a real player. Liam Cohen, we know, likes to use those 3 wide receiver sets a little bit more than Canales did last year. So expect to see, you know, that 11 personnel with 3 wides and 1 tight end, more so than that 12 personnel with 2 tight ends in the field. He's got a chance to make an impact this year. And you know, same thing with Bucky Irving. I think you look at those you know, those draft picks right there and on offense, and you're like, okay, all these guys can come in and really make an impact on this roster, starting from, you know, the start of the season. So, you know, Devin Culp, the tight end they took out of the 7th round.
Yeah, put on some weight.
It's clear if you give him a free release, he's gone. Like, if you're going to put him out in the slot or put him out wide at the X, which he can do a little bit, like, you got to jam him at the line because of that 4.47 speed and that size. Man, you get him matched up on a linebacker or a smaller corner or a safety, it's going to be a difficult time for him, for them trying to cover him. There was one play in particular that really stands out. He was on the left side, got a free release. It was the crosser. By the time he hit midfield, he was wide open. The linebacker couldn't keep up with him. The safeties were too far back. And obviously not a lock to make the roster as a 7th-round draft pick, but, you know, he's a better pass blocker than a run blocker, so he'll need to show real improvements in run blocking to be, you know, utilized. But, I mean, yeah, if they're going to keep 3 tight ends, I think that battle for that third spot between him and O'Keefe is going to be fun to watch for sure in training camp and throughout OTAs, mini camps, and stuff like that coming up. But yeah, offensive side of the ball, they got at least 3 guys who I think are going to make an impact, and potentially 4 if Devin Culp makes this roster. They can use him in a variety of different formations and packages and stuff like that to get him the ball. On the defensive side, Heike Smith was known for his playmaking abilities. The first day of minicamp, he came down with an interception.
There you go. There you go.
High pointed the ball, tipped it to himself, and it was just you're like, okay, this guy is legit. Played a lot in the slot, but also played a little at strong safety as well. But I think he's going to be a guy that is going to challenge directly for that slot position. It's going to be a fun battle there with guys like Xavier Thomas and, obviously the start from last year, Christian Isian. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Chris Braswell, their second round pick, the edge rusher, just looks the part, man. He's got an explosive get off. You can see the power that he plays with. Again, they're just in, shorts and t-shirts, but there was a play that he would have had a would-be sack. He just drove Tanner Towla, one of their backup tight ends, was on the practice squad last year. Just drove him back and got the quarterback, which would have been a down sack. So, again, it's a lot of things we're here talking about this. It's overhyped season right now. We got to pump the brakes. Let's see what they look like in pads. See what they look like, when it comes time to training camp and everything. But if you're the Bucs and you're looking at your draft picks, you really got to be happy about what you saw out of them. The smarts, the intelligence to be able to get everything down and go. A couple other guys, undrafted guys, a guy like Judge Culpepper, obviously legacy player. And he is built thick from the waist down, and that's only okay to say when you're talking about football. But the second half of an 11 on 11s on day 2, he was in the backfield consistently. He had a would-be sack. He had a would-be sack the day before as well. He's just a guy you look at and you're like, okay, this guy can make some plays. So we'll see if the Bucs. I was just kind of going over my roster. I put my roster reset out where it stands now, but kind of like my 53, like who's going to make it. And if they go 6 defensive linemen, because to my calculations, they have 1 spot open. If they go, 6 tight ends, 6 wide receivers, 4 running backs, 3 tight ends, they'll have 1 spot over at either 5th linebacker, 10th offensive lineman, 6th defensive lineman, or a 3rd quarterback. And if they do go 6 defensive linemen, Mike Green, who is a holdover, he made it. He was a tryout player 2 years ago. Landed on the active roster last year, end of the season on IR, but he'll have, I think, his hands cut out for him with Judge Culpepper. So he was interesting to see. They signed a undrafted free agent running back who was there in a tryout yesterday, Ramon Jefferson. He was the guy I pointed out prior to minicamp, and then after day 1, I even wrote about him. I said, he's getting a lot of work. I did a Twitter space talking about him. He's got familiarity with Liam Cohen going all the way back to Maine in 2017, 2018 when he was there, and then last 2 years at Kentucky. Didn't really have good stats last year because he tore his ACL. It was a really long recovery, so he only had less than 150 yards and 28 runs, no receptions. But you can see that he is, kind of explosive. Obviously, he knows the system very well. So they signed him. They signed a cornerback as well. But yeah, a fun fact about Ramon Jefferson as well is he played with him with Zion McCollum at Sam Houston the year they won the national championship. Had over 1,000 yards rushing that year. So
yeah, those are interesting guys that get ACL injuries and have to come back, and the stats don't show it, but if they can play, they can play, and they pop. So
right. And he's been in college for a minute. 2017 he started, redshirted. 2018 he had a good year. Transferred to a community college for 2 years. Then he went to originally he was going to go to Colorado, but transferred, changed his mind and went to Kentucky. Was there for 2 years, so he's got plenty of experience, but not a lot of wear and tear because of the redshirt season, because of the ACL, because of last year. So
that's an interesting prospect.
Other than that, I think there's a couple cornerback undrafted guys. Tyreek Funderburk, he made some good plays. He had a nice pass breakup, good coverage on Jalen McMillian down deep. Chris McDonald is another guy, cornerback. He had a nice pass breakup. Just kind of jumped up and knocked it out. It was kind of impressive. There's a couple linebackers who made some interceptions and stuff like that. BJ Davis, who was a trial guy. I don't think they signed him. Sean Peterson had a would-be sack. There's some undrafted guys who kind of made some noise, and that's what you want to see, right? But for the most part, I think the draft picks were highlighted, and undrafted guy, Judge Culpepper. I think they made the biggest impressions over the weekend.
I know you didn't mention him there, but did you get any impression at all from a Kalen DeLoach, who we're very familiar with from watching him at Florida State? I know he's a little undersized, but he made plays there, and I think I saw that he might have started putting on a little bit of weight already. What'd you take away from him so far?
Yeah, Kalen, he started at linebacker. He was playing both sides. So I think, we talked to Todd, and he said, once he gets in and starts moving, towards training camp and stuff, they'll be able to use him, a big nickel and stuff like that. He didn't have any flash plays, but was very sound in his assignments. I didn't see him get beat by anybody, carrying tight ends or running back to the flat or anything like that. So when he was doing pad drills, so they're just kind of down in their stance, you explode up, hit the pad, and then you chase. It's kind of a hit and go. You could just see the acceleration that he's got, that 4.4 speed that he ran. So he'll be someone that I'm keeping an eye on. I think, again, it comes down to that. Do they keep 5 linebackers at spot? Where are they keeping that extra guy?
Right.
When I break down this roster, because if you, with the new kickoff rules, do you want to keep an extra linebacker? I think with the offensive line, they have enough guys, and I think I had Ben Bredesen, the guy, out, or Brandon Walton, one of those two guys, not making it. But I think you have enough guys in the offensive line who have enough versatility, especially in the interior. You re-sign Justin Spool to be your swing tackle. Did they do the same thing last year and start John Wolford out on the practice squad as QB3?
They need bigger rosters. They need bigger rosters. Right.
And I think they should move up to 55.
With 18, 17 games now and 18 coming, they've got to expand the rosters. But the NFLPA doesn't want to. It's more jobs, but it's less money at the top. I don't know how they figured that out, but they need to. Right. They need more roster spots because it's just not enough with especially on the offensive line. We get tight ends playing tackle every year.
Right. So it comes down to where do you keep that last guy, right? Do you want to keep that 6 defensive lineman, or do you want to stash 2 in the practice squad because you have 6 call-ups between the 2 of them? Right. Or do you want to keep that 5th linebacker? And if they do keep that 5th linebacker, J.J. Russell is a guy who's proven. He had a start last year. I think,
he's been around.
You got K.J. Britt.
Yep.
You got K.J. Britt. You got Levante Davis, Devontae Dennis locked in. That's your 3. J.J. Russell, Kalen DeLoach, can they take that 4? And if you want that 5, is that you keep J.J. Russell and DeLoach, or do you keep DeLoach and maybe Russell goes on the practice squad? Something like that. So I think he's going to pass to beat out J.J. Russell. But, obviously we need to see more OTAs, mini camps, training camps.
He'll shine in scrimmages and actual play. That's where, instincts show up, playmaking shows up when you get, you're actually getting into scrimmages and playing at that level. We're talking to J.C. Allen from Sports Illustrated Bucks Game Day joining us here. Interesting, Jose Ramirez was out there as well. Some of these second-year guys that didn't really play last year or got on the IL, who he's put on some weight. Any thoughts on him, what you saw from him?
He's put on some muscle, but he looks a lot more Sylvette, I guess. So, he just looks like he's in better shape. Mm-hmm. Of course, having an off season, in that strength and conditioning program. Phase 1 started back in April, so and a bunch of the guys have been in there even before that, coming in daily to lift. So, that's going to help all these rookies from last year. Because you got to remember, they have, the season ends in early December. Maybe they have a bowl game that doesn't get played until late December, January. Right. And then from there on out, they're right into, maybe they'll go to Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl. But after that, it's just straight combine training and pro day training, and it's not football stuff. And they're weakening.
That's taking weight
body.
off. Yeah, you want to take weight off for that, and for play football, you want to put the weight on. So
they're changing the way they train. For drills instead of football. So then you get thrown right into rookie minicamp and all that. Now you're getting flooded with a bunch of information while you're trying to get yourself back into, your routine, and you're learning in your city and town and teammates, playbook, and blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is all new to you. So now, with the full year settle in, with the full off season to kind of work towards what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. Exactly.
It really kind of, helps. And that's where you see a lot of players make that jump here too. He's got an uphill battle right now. I think I have 6 edge rushers, making the team. That would obviously be Yaya, JTS, Gregory, Braswell, Nelson, and I think Watson, Ramirez are going to be the 2 that come down to it. Do they keep 6? That's even a question. You never have enough pass rushers, but again, you can't really rotate 6 guys in. But with the new kickoff rules, do you want that, athletic body down there, on the line of scrimmage pretty much, because it's pretty much a run play, so it's a defensive play pretty much, you're putting it's really going to be interesting to see how they construct this roster, noting that, the new kickoff rules are in place, and, you don't
it's
need
an actual play now.
Burners. You still need your gunners, but you don't need every other position. You don't need a bunch of cornerbacks and,
you need more linebackers.
Bigger body. Right.
Yeah, you need more I agree.
How do they construct the roster? So, but I think Jose certainly has a shot. You talked to Luke and you talked to Gedeke and Tristan Wirfs, and they're like, man, Jose's a dog. Like every week when he was running the scout team, like,
I know.
he gave us so many problems. And, you saw Marquise Watts when he was able to get in there, his pressure rate, was
pretty damn good. Yeah.
So it's like, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how they construct this roster, and B, who steps up, take a spot in, and C, if they make anyone expendable,
Yeah.
Does a Watts or a Ramirez outperform a guy like Anthony Nelson or JTS or Randy Gregory at that point? And they're like, you know what? We're going to move on from one of you guys and keep the young guys because we don't want to lose them and subject them to waivers. So
I like young and hungry. I like young. If
it's going to be interesting to see how.
Yeah. All right. Any funny moments? Any good interview stuff? Any of that stuff happened? Anything crazy that we learned about these guys?
Nothing like crazy, but when you talk to the draft picks specifically, you can tell the same core principles that have the Bucs have addressed the last 3 drafts. Football is the number one thing. I mean, Graham Barton skipped his graduation at Duke yesterday to be at rookie minicamp. So, and Jerry Seinfeld was there,
Yeah,
so
I mean, what are we doing here? You get a free comedy concert? Oh, my God.
Right,
Absolutely.
So, I think when you talk to Elijah Klein, he just brings the juice, gets everybody going. He's just a fiery guy.
Yeah, I think
I don't think of myself like that.
Yeah.
You talk to some of these other guys, and you can just see that the character, the passion, that all matters to the Bucs now more than ever.
I was watching some of those interviews, and it's very apparent that they if you're not a serious football player, if you're if football is not your number one priority, you're not getting drafted by the Bucs. You're just not. It's just, these guys are serious football, and I think that's great because you see so many of these guys that just want to be NFL football players and want the fame, but they're not, and they may be really talented, but they're not into teamwork, being serious about their craft, et cetera, et cetera. And I think Jason Light's done a really good job, and his staff, of identifying guys of that character. And I think it's really helped the culture of this team, and it just keeps those type guys. They make the other guys stand out, and they, the Devin Whites of the world, you just don't belong, right? You don't fit here. And I think that's a good thing. So we shall see.
Right. And I think, you look at this draft, you look at the last couple of drafts, how many starters, I think the Bucs, when you look at it all said and done, I think they have at least 4, potentially 5 starters, and Barton, Braswell, Smith, McMillan, and maybe a guy like Elijah Klein, if not this year, maybe next year. Because you look at next year, you're going to need the guys they have are all on 1-year deals. So I think as many as 5 starters have come out of this draft. That'd be huge. We've seen in the last couple of drafts. So.
That would be huge.
Hey JC, I'm just curious, real quick, as a non-Bucs note here, as a longtime Patriots fan as yourself, we're a week away from what was the greatest roast of all time. And I have nothing to compare it to because I've never watched one of those things, but it was 3 hours of great television, clearly. Did you need that? Did you need that as a Patriots fan? You know, there has been all this drama in the air, and it obviously everything was on the table, except for Robert Kraft,
Everything.
of course.
Everything.
But everything was on the table. How did all that land for you?
I thought it was hilarious, first of all. I didn't need any closure or anything like that. And to be honest with you, I've been so dialed in to give, you Bucs fans the best coverage I can, knowing this team inside and out, that the last couple of years, I haven't been dialed into my Pats fandom as much. And plus, once you're in the media, your fandom kind of changes
Right.
too. You kind of understand, how things work and what goes on and whatnot. But, I thought it was great. It was hilarious. I wish some of the Bucs guys got some time or a little bit more recognition.
Yeah.
But I Drew Bledsoe killed it. Nikki Glazer, I don't even have to talk about the comics because they kill it every time. But Nikki Glazer she's always great. You go on to like any roast and she kills it. But I thought Bledsoe did really good. Jules and Gronk were great. Brady was great at the end. Bill was, a lot of people don't see that side of Bill, but he's got this dry, funny sense of humor. There were some awkward moments. Kevin carried the show amazingly.
Yeah.
Was able to pivot and do things on the fly. So I wouldn't say it was like therapy. It was needed for me because, anyone with a brain could kind of see what was going on there the final couple of years, with the Pats. And, but no, I'm excited for the new era. I think Belichick's going to be great. On McAfee on Mondays. He's going to be great on the Manning Cast on Mondays. Excited to see what else he does before getting back into football, because if he doesn't get a coaching job next year, the NFL has lost its marbles. He's so good. So, but yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, Russ.
All right, JC, tell everybody how they can get your content, what's going on as we move forward in the off season here.
Yeah, definitely. Check my Twitter out at JC Allen NFL ALEN spelling. My podcast at Pirate Parlay. Just had Devin Culp on last week. We're gonna get some more of these draft picks on too soon. We're gonna try to get some coaches on as well. Back at that. So always tune into that. Like, subscribe, notifications on. We're gonna get some great guests. I've got a bunch of players lined up. We'll get some local guys on there as well, talking Bucs, giving their takes. All of my work is over at Bucs Game Day, powered by Sports Illustrated. Go check that out. Go to the Twitter, turn on notifications, follow us there. And we have a podcast over there, Hear the Cannon. So I'll be on there weekly, pretty much. We just had Rashad White on last week, so check that out as well. Never know who's going to stop by. But yeah, I'm everywhere, guys. And,
Gotcha.
Podcast appearances coming on this show.
You're doing a hell of a job, JC. We appreciate you, my man. Thanks for all your time, and we'll catch up later. Thanks, bud.
Sounds good.
All right. We talked a little bit about the Graham Barton graduation not going. We'll hit that a little bit in the second hour. I wanted to go to my graduation, and I did, and I regret it. I could have done without.
I had the weirdest one.
100% done without that.
Mine was in 2021, so it was like still during COVID times, and like I had a graduation, but it wasn't like one of those full ceremonies. Like you went in like shifts, like it was divided up by like certain like the people, and like you literally just walk in.
The COVID era.
You literally just walked in and you grabbed your diploma from the front. We're all wearing masks and everything. You grab your diploma and then you go over to this little picture section. You take pictures with your family, and then it's it. You leave. Yeah. Like there was no big ceremony for it whatsoever.
Of course not. No, of course not.
So
everyone would have died.
So my graduation was just a complete flop.
Yeah. Well, the whole COVID era, when we will certainly look back and, it's not funny where we're going through it. And you guys got screwed over so bad with classes and graduations and all that stuff. Well, just ridiculous for nothing.
I enjoyed the online classes.
Okay. Well, there was some part of it. I enjoyed going to class. I loved all that. That to me, that was the great part of, of college. Of course, it was FSU. So, there was plenty. It's like going to a party every day and going to class. Our graduation was at the Leon County Civic Center, packed, all friends and family. Everybody's just hung over, and you can't even get up and go to the bathroom or get a drink, and you're just like dying. And our commencement speaker was definitely not Jerry Seinfeld, 100%. They had some economics professor who had just won some medal, that they wanted to highlight. And the dude came on and gave some State of the Union economic, like nothing inspirational at all. You're talking about the gross national product and giving some thesis on economy. He used our graduation for that. And we're just like, what the F is this all about? The Treasury Secretary, who cares?
Yeah, can you just give me the paper so I can, go
you
back
walk
to what I
across
was doing?
the stage, and it's like you do it out. So if I'm Grant Barton, it's probably a little bit, but it's Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, that's a little different. That's a lot different. So I might have wanted to do it for that, but
crazy thing is, I don't even like when it comes to my diploma, I don't even know where mine is. Like if you ask me right now to find it, it's going to take me a little time. I know. Right, I see you got yours on your wall. I'm gonna have to. I want to get mine framed eventually, but I can't find the damn thing.
Yeah. All right. Hey, you know how much I had to pay in parking tickets to get that thing? Are you kidding me? The parking tickets were more than the tuition. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We got some sound. You're going to hear from Grant Barton. You hear from Kalen DeLoach. You hear from Kevin Cash. There's an interesting survey that my friend just sent me about fan bases in Major League Baseball. Guess where the Rays finished? Yeah, exactly where you think they might have finished. All right, so that and more coming up. We're brought to you by Extravaganza Productions, the great folks over there. Paul Thomason and Dolly Brown, they are the best in the business, folks. They do the biggest events, and they'll do small events as well. So if you got a charity event coming up, a big birthday, a graduation, something where you want to make it really pop and be professional, Extravaganza Productions, you'll be surprised what you can get for the money. Get a free creative meeting with them. It's all free. Just contact them through the website, extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them what you got going on. Go visit the showroom, the warehouse where they got all the props. Really, really cool stuff. Extravaganzaproductions.com. Back in 3. Stay with us. Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion. the Tampa RV Show exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you were thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, each and every day, if you miss anything, you can always listen as a podcast. So go to your podcast there, hit the JP Peterson Show. Make sure you like and subscribe, and you'll get notifications when it drops, usually right after noon. So you can listen anytime, or maybe later on in the day, on your way home, in the morning, whatever you like. It's always there for you, and all the back shows as well. So check that out. And we appreciate all you guys watching and listening. I want to get to some of the comments here, Nick, as we were talking about our fan base in the first segment here. And by the way, so this poll that just came out as far as loyalty and fan following, the Rays ranked, guess, dead last.
Dead last.
Shocking development. Yes, shocking development. Trying to find this one. Yeah. So this is, I retweeted it on our show page. So who really has the most loyal fans in MLB? MLB fan loyalty survey, and they go by attendance, operating income, and then something called a fan survey, where they ask fans, how happy they are with the way their team is run, et cetera, and you'll let me get the actual fan sentiment survey. In the end, we conducted a survey to capture fan sentiments. This involved reaching out to a diverse mix of baseball enthusiasts and casual observers. We asked them to express their positive attitudes towards different MLB teams. The results offered a subjective measure of team popularity and fan loyalty. And also attendance was a big part of this as well. And the Cubs were first with financial health, fulfilling 82% of their stadium, average attendance 34,000, and a 51% positive sentiment from the team. The Red Sox were second, the Cardinals were third, the Braves fourth, Giants fifth, Rangers sixth, and Yankees were seventh, Dodgers eighth. As we go through it, and coming in at 30th, your Tampa Bay Rays. As they say at the bottom, at 30th, the Rays see an average attendance of 17,000, filling just 41% of their stadium. Let's build one right next door with the same owner. Despite a positive operating income of $9.5 million, it's way more than that. Their 32% positive sentiment reflects the need for stronger fan engagement and community connection. Sure, they can win games and even make it to the World Series, but their following obviously lacks. TV ratings not included in this formula. So, but when you're below the Oakland Athletics,
I was going to say, I'm going to take a guess and say that the bottom three are some variation of the Rays, the A's, and the Marlins.
Yep. You got it. 28, 29, and 30 right there. Yep, absolutely.
Although I never think about the Rays being that.
What's weird is
I never think that they are in that tier. Like, maybe they're in the tier just above that. But I feel like the Marlins and the A's are consistently just a crap show right now. Yeah,
because they're not winning like the Rays are.
Yeah, because they don't win.
Right. And that just makes the warts look even uglier. You can hide a lot of the Rays regular season is a masking agent to a lot of their real issues.
Right.
But it is, you win games, man. They won a lot of regular season games.
The A's I know have a passionate fan base. They've just been jerked around long enough.
They have a 35% positive sentiment.
I don't understand how you metric that. Who in Oakland right now is feeling positive about?
Right.
I mean, to be fair, they're playing a lot better this year, but
and the Marlins 38% positive sentiment.
Nobody's happy with the Marlins right now. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And that's the thing about the Marlins. Marlins is such a cautionary tale. You know, their stadium process was absolutely dog crap. And we're repeating, if they go through with this thing in St. Pete, which, you know, if you saw what went on at the council meeting, there's, you know, 3 council members that are probably no votes. And they were asking the very pertinent questions about this boondoggle of a deal. And they didn't get any answers. And they're going to have to change, I think. And even the mayor said, we're going to sit down with our attorneys and go through the deal one more time and see if we can, you know, kind of answer some of these questions. And they've got to like put some real teeth into that agreement, because there's no teeth in the agreement at all. So you're basically trusting a developing group and an owner who certainly does not deserve any trust at all. I mean, given his track record, you can't just go into this thing saying, oh yeah, we hope that they'll build everything they say they're going to build and do what there's no teeth in this agreement, but we just hope they do it the right way. Go ask Kreisman and Foster and all the other people that have negotiated with Stu Sternberg and think that if it's not laid out in even if it's in a contract, he'll violate the contract given the lawsuit from his partners. So you're trusting a guy to do all the stuff in this and not putting any teeth in the agreement. That's not very smart, you know. But and over the weekend, you know, I kind of came to a little bit of an epiphany, Nick. You know, going back to it is, look, I'm passionate about it because I think it's a humongous mistake. You're doing exactly what the Marlins did. You're leveraging tax dollars, you know, or tax opportunity dollars, as it were, paying interest on this. It's going to reach $2.4 billion, which is exactly what the Marlins Stadium, very close to what the Marlins Stadium did. A terrible financial deal for Miami. You're going to locate it in a horrible location, which is exactly what they did. And you're going to get the same results. No attendance. Then you have no revenue. And then everybody says it just doesn't work when you've never done it the right way in Florida. That was a disaster and it was all political. It was all political, and everybody that voted for it never held office again. And so all these council members who are the swing votes on this, like Montanari, you're running for state house. Trust me, you vote for this, you will never win an election again, just like the people in Miami. So, and I think it's horribly located. But look, if it passes, you know, if you're a St. Pete resident, Pinellas resident, when you realize what happened, you're going to be up in arms. It'll be even more negative sentiment towards the team as you go forward in this process. It probably won't be done until the 2029 season. Then you'll be holding their feet to the fire to do all this affordable housing stuff, which they don't have to do. It's just there's penalties in there, but they're so minuscule that any developer would just build a for-profit and say, yeah, we'll pay the penalties. We don't care. And you're trusting them to do all this. It's going to be a disaster. And, you know, as far as attendance goes, it'll perk up for a couple of years. But as one of our commenters put in here, are there going to be companies that fill these luxury boxes? And this has always been the problem with that location. And that's a big fat no. I even talked to some, you know, people at the CEO Council on Thursday. I said, is your company going to buy tickets for the new stadium? And they're like, no, because we can't. It's the location. It's the midweek games. It's not worth it for us. We'd rather put our money into Bucks and Lightning for our clients because they will use that stuff and other entertainment options as well.
I will put this out there. Well, you can read that comment first, and then I'll get to
Mario
it.
says, since Thursday city council meetings, the Rays on the field haven't played well, despite it being 3 games after the meetings. Just a small conspiracy story.
Oh, come on.
Well, they want to play well to get the damn thing passed. Right?
No, what I was going to say, though, like from Tampa's point of view, and they've basically right now seem very well removed from everything that's going on with the Rays Stadium. And that's because obviously this vote has to take place and the Rays seem focused on that site. I mean, if you're Tampa, I got to be honest, it's like there's only so much, I guess, money to go around. And we've talked about this a little bit, and I think it's really going to come into focus in the next few years. I'm starting to think the reality is that the Bucks are going to have to get a new stadium pretty soon. And
well, they
I hate
on record as saying they're not interested in that.
Well, I don't think if I buy it, because here's the thing. I love Raymond James Stadium. I think you love it. I think it's a world-class facility. It doesn't get its due. But you look at where the NFL is going, the Bucks suddenly now I think have one of the older stadiums in the NFL, which is hard to think about, but it's true.
Yeah.
And with all these new stadiums popping up everywhere, and they all have domes and everything, like it's less about the Bucks necessarily and more about all the other events that you can attract to your city.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't think the Tampa Bay is going to be in the running anytime soon, maybe ever again, to host a Super Bowl. And I think that's a really big deal, clearly, for the city, for the economy, and how much it drives and all those things. Like college football playoff national championship. Do you think Tampa Bay is in the running for that anytime soon? The answer is no.
Even though we did such a great job on
even
the last
though they did such a good job,
yeah.
and other things like in my world with WrestleManias and stuff like that. The only WrestleMania, by the way, that it ever reigned at was the one in Tampa. So they probably already scratched that one off the list. Like, to me, that's like, if you're Tampa, the Bucks are more long-rooted, in that, obviously on that side, and you're loyal to them, obviously. It feels like if you were going to put all those funds into something, you might say, well, I think it's more beneficial to fix, the Bucks stadium because of everything else that comes with it, rather than put our resources into a Rays stadium. That's sort of the way that I'm kind of looking at it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything to really back up that claim, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing.
No, and I think the Bucks have said that they're fine with Raymond James Stadium. They just put $130 million into the stadium. They just put a lot of money into the stadium, and that redid all the luxury boxes and the premium seating areas. So they just put a lot of money into it. But yeah, I mean, Chicago's going to try to build this, $5 billion indoor
Nashville's
stadium.
Got one going up.
Yeah, Nashville's got one going up. Is that going to be indoors? I think.
Nashville's going to be indoors.
Yeah, and Nissan Stadium was built it looks exactly like Raymond James. I think it was built very.
But it's still much inferior to what Raymond James is.
Yeah, and I just
it doesn't seem like it should be a big priority, but it is.
That's all we need for Tampa is a drone tarp. Yeah, I was just thinking about the schedule release, and people want early season home games. I'm like, do you? You need to pack, you want them back loaded for me because of the weather. You should never have a day game, a 1:00 September or early October game for the Bucks. You don't want any of those. They're non-starters. It's just ridiculously hot under the sun. No shade. You can't, it's really, really difficult. And for USF as well. So yeah, I feel you on that. And I think, the thing is, when you look at the deal that was done in Atlanta, San Diego to somebody, which is what Alan Delisle kind of compared this Rays agreement to, and you look at what the public puts in and what the private part puts in, that's just, you're getting your money back in that sense. If you're literally getting revenue back to cover your costs, where this St. Pete deal, you're not. The Rays keep all the revenue. So those deals, there's tangible money coming back to replant. So it's almost a positive in terms of an economic driver. So if you can get to that deal, which it takes a committed owner and someone who has the community in mind, and not just, whose total goal here is to make as much money as they possibly can. If you can get an owner that's involved in that, like what the Braves did and some of these other owners, Jerry Jones basically built his own stadium on his own dime. Arthur Blank of the $1.5 billion for the Georgia stadium, he paid 1.2. The city only put in $250 million, which really isn't a whole lot. And they're getting that money back in terms of the revenue in the deal. So you have to have a benevolent owner and a deep pocket owner that wants to do that. And clearly Stu isn't that. He's never been that, never will be that. So, I think thing is, you could do both if you do it the right way. But I think in this current climate, where who knows where the freaking economy is going. And that's why, this deal in St. Pete is even more crazy. You're putting yourself at a huge commitment to spend tons and tons of money that in this new financial era, you can't find, dollars just to keep libraries open. But we're going to spend all this money. It's crazy, especially if you're not getting any return. But be that as it may, I think that there's going to be a couple more council meetings where more of this is discussed. and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and I hate that it's delayed too, though. I mean, like it sounds like I know Brian Auld had said they needed to get, and the most overplayed phrase of this whole thing, shovels in the ground.
Yeah.
I feel like he said that they had to have that happen by fall 2024, maybe. And now it's clear that ain't going to happen at the earliest. Now we're pushing back to what, spring 2025? Like, I mean, it's just nothing's ever easy. And it's just why I'm so frustrated by the whole thing. Nothing's ever easy. And I feel like a lot of Rays fans who would acknowledge and tell you that, oh yeah, the stadium should have been in Tampa, but you know what? This is the only hope left. And so now everybody's all gung ho about the fact that it's going to be a new stadium. I think you're being pulled away by the fact that it's new, right? And everybody, you can sell new to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people are all just like going crazy because, oh, look at the plan and look at the layout and everything. And it's going to be beautiful. And the renderings over with. But again, it's just don't confuse that with right. Yeah. And that it was done in the just way, because like, I'll say it again,
look at Miami,
cause I'll say it again, even if this stadium ends up going up in St. Pete, of course, I'm going to be happy at the fact that the Rays at the end of the day are in Tampa Bay. And that is the thing that should be celebrated. But at the same time, the whole stadium process, in my opinion, would have been a flat out failure to end up in the same point. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And it all has to do with a horrible owner. That's all it comes back to. And the same thing happened in Miami. It's, folks, if you know your history, go back and look what Jeffrey Loria did. Stu Sternberg is following the same exact playbook, and he took Miami for million suckers.
And a lot of people think that Stu could sell the team after the stadium gets up.
Yeah, which he will. He'll take as much profit as he possibly can. He could flip all the real estate and make a killing with the Heinz Development Group, who will pay him handsomely for that right. And he's out the door. And you got to, it's a town for losers, and I'm pulling out of here to win. Thunder Road, the last line, the season song given to you by Stu Sternberg. He's hiding in plain sight, folks. But boy, those jerseys sure look good.
By the way, what a down. Speaking of that, how in the world can you play in the Devil Rays uniform on Friday and then play in the City Connect on Saturday? And then I turned on my television yesterday, and here we are wearing those baby blue, whatever they call them, with the worst Rays uniform I have ever seen in my entire life is what they were wearing yesterday. I'm just retire that thing, please. We don't need it. We don't need it.
All right, back to our commenters here. Nathan Elliott says the Buccaneers will revoke a season pass member who sell more of their tickets than attend the games. Yeah, thanks. And that's the way it should be. But, of course, the Rays can't do that because they don't have any season ticket holders. Call these sports bars out, Mario Christian says. Yes, if you go into a sports bar and they don't have the Rays game on, call them out. Call them out. It's the only way we're going to get this thing fixed. And, of course, go right to the manager and say, this is ridiculous. I'm putting you on Twitter. Just don't do this again. And it'll change, but we got to be vigilant about it. If the Rays are number one in the conference or division, then most people in the area do not care about the Rays. Not sure what that means, Nathan. They're not in a conference.
Well, you know what he means. If they're not like at the top of the league or whatever, then people don't care.
Oh, yeah, true. Well, I think the Rays have a very loyal following, and I think we know that from doing this show. But if they're not winning, the people are definitely not showing up. Rick says, Nick, a loud New Yorker? Really? Drew Jetson says it's more podcasts and sports talk shows in Tampa. The demand is there. Oh, I think the demand is definitely there. No question about it. This show and the other podcasts we get a lot of listens because people aren't listening to the radio. Rick says JP in the 90s, the only sports information was through local news and radio. Coverage is oversaturated now with social media. You can follow your team anywhere. That's an interesting take because it seems like there's more outlets, but is it, and more outlets for people to talk about it, but is it really quality stuff? I mean, are you getting the same? And if it's not a mass audience, if you gather up all the podcasts and all that stuff that people are listening to, maybe it's the same number. But I just feel like there's, you used to be able to really create a buzz with local television, the newspaper. We had 2 newspapers, 4, if you count Univision, 5 local news departments that are always out covering big sporting events. It's not that way anymore. You have one newspaper that's behind, it's not even a newspaper, and it's behind a paywall.
Yeah,
So
I mean, but I
how
don't
do you
think it's a
create the
Tampa.
buzz?
It's not a Tampa thing. I mean, listen, I see this stuff all the time, and I'm in, not the newspaper business, but the online journalism business, and you see some of the stuff that alarms you, like the Los Angeles Times cutting their entire sports section, right? I mean, that's like what the second biggest newspaper in the country, and they're cutting their entire sports section.
Did they really?
Yeah, like you see
Wow.
stuff like that, and you go, "Ooh, what's that about?" I mean, I think that's just the way things are changing. But to the commenter's point, I forgot who put it up there. Yeah, if you have Twitter, I mean, you get all your news and everything you need from your team right there without having to go to like traditional outlets and everything. And YouTube's big, obviously, and podcasts like this one. I mean, yeah, that's where most people I feel like get their stuff now.
Because it's on demand,
Yeah,
like
and you
people
can
aren't
listen
sitting
to it
around
anytime
waiting
you
for
want.
6:20, when the sports guy comes on locally, or 11:22, where you used to like set your watch and know exactly you could turn over and watch, all the different sportscasts.
And that's
People
not to
aren't doing
say
that anymore.
that's not to say like me personally, like I don't listen to radio shows and stuff like that. I do. I just have a lot of stuff I listen to now because there's more of it out there.
Well, I
And
find every time I turn on the radio, the commercials on, like literally.
see, I don't listen.
You could flip
I don't
through the
listen to it
dial
that way. Like I listen to it because like even radio shows now have it to where they put it
That's
up in
right.
like a non-commercial
How do their
podcast.
advertisers feel about that? By
And
the
so
way?
I do it.
They
I
put
do
up
it
a
that way.
podcast would take out all the ads.
Like when the only time I listen to
If
radio
I was
live for the
advertising
most
on that
part,
show, I'd be a little pissed off.
yeah. Like the only time I listen to radio live is like like I still love listening to a Rays game on radio. There's something about baseball on the radio that is just nice.
And lightning too. Like
and lightning and obviously Gene with the Bucks. Like I love listening to sports on the radio.
Yeah.
Like when it like games itself.
Well, with football, you never are because you're always in front of your TV. It's very rare that you'll actually be listening to.
Well,
the
let's back up 15 years ago when the Bucks were blacked out every single freaking home game, and there was no, let me go find a stream somewhere or this or that. No, there was hooking up. This is when he used even I remember this the old stereos in the houses. I don't know if people still have stereos, and tuning it to whatever the Buck station was and having to listen to it from Gene.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss that. Well, I grew up on Rick Weaver calling Dolphin games. Rick Weaver and Jim Mandich was on there as one of the who was the original I think it was it Don Nottingham? I mean, it's just some old time radio stuff. Yeah. And it's interesting because after the Lightning games, after I do my post game show and I get in the car and I'm driving home on the strike, which you can listen to us live every day, 102.5. They replay the games. So I can, on the way home, I listen to Michigan and Phil call the game I just watched. And it's great. I mean, you get a lot of insight because there's a lot of insight that they give you that you may not have heard. Because I'm live in the bowl. I'm not watching it on TV. I'm not listening to Brian and Randolph until I get home and if I watch a replay or watch a road game. So yeah. It's different. It's definitely a way different consumption than it's ever been. But I think part of that is because people aren't given the quality that they used to be given. If Chris Thomas and Big Dog were still on the radio, I think they wouldn't be 19th in the ratings. I'm telling you, they wouldn't. It just, I think the quality.
Look, ESPN, if you're trying to learn about any of these shows on Fox or anything, when you can go get a podcast that's centralized to your team, that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And you don't have the personalities on those networks anymore that are larger than life like they used to be.
Yeah, I agree. James says no masking agent this year. JP Rays will finish 4th in L East and fans are done with Stu. Yeah, I think the fans, it's that part of it. The reason they don't support the Rays is a huge part because of ownership.
Well, here's what I can't figure out. Remember last year, and I know the Rays got off to a hot start, so maybe that was actually strong by the standard. Remember we went to that game.
You're popping in and out, bro.
Like against the Red Sox. Like I don't know what happened this year. It just seems it's lower again. It's just like back to what it used to be.
Well, in terms
10,000 on
like
10,000 on Tuesday nights and 11 like here and everything. Like I feel like it was a little bit higher last year.
It was. And when they had a 28% increase. But I don't hear the ticket specials the way
No,
they were last year.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. They're there. I get the emails every day. The $10. They almost for every series.
Maybe the fans are just pissed off. All right, we got some more comments coming in. I want to get to them and get to some of the other sound. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side and chat with you guys. We're brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. Go to hydrateheroes.com. I'm enjoying my ginger mango right now. Hydrateheroes.com. You can get a 30-pack for $29.99, less than $1 a serving for this stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. 5 calories, tastes fantastic, tastes sweet enough. You don't need all that extra sugar, folks, and all those extra calories. None of the bad stimulants in it. Only good stuff. All the electrolytes, vitamin D, amla fruit. There's a mushroom blend in there to help you with your inflammation. Tons of great stuff. It's hydrateheroes.com. Go to tryhydrateheroes.com and get your free 3-pack. Tryhydrateheroes.com. Back into 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes joining me here, lifelong Tampa Bay fan. We do this every Monday and Thursday with Nick, so we're never at a shortage for topics to delve into, my friend. So great job.
Or even ones today we just started sort of naturally.
Yeah,
was not in the planning sheet whatsoever.
I know there's a lot of things I want to get to around the sports world, but this local stuff is actually much more interesting, I think, for you guys, and that's what we do. We try to do Tampa Bay sports centric here, and we'll keep it that way. Rick says the only reason people get into politics is because they aren't smart and talented enough to make money. Ain't that the damn truth? And then the ones that do will have the track record of actually doing stuff, get into politics. Well, you see what happens to them. Marcus Compton says, plain and simple, it's the Tampa Bay Rays, not St. Pete Rays. Build a Rays stadium in Tampa. Come on, geez. I know. We've kind of, in all the horrible details of this contract, that, as somebody pointed out, James pointed out, they don't even have to develop the other stuff for a decade. I mean, literally, he could turn around and just sell the land that he got at this ridiculous price, sell the team, sell the land, be done, and you're stuck with building and the new owner would have to build the stadium, and he's out. He doesn't have to put out any outfall for the stadium or anything. Just collect all the money that the city was so dumb they could have sold it to developer themselves and made $600-700 million. You'll see, but whatever. Yeah, that's true. St. Pete City Council is okay with the areas around the stadium, but not the stadium itself. Yeah, that's weird. Well, they'll get to the stadium. This past one was about the non-stadium development. The next one is going to be about the council is going to be more about the stadium development. So that will be interesting as well. James says a baseball stadium at Eborn Marina would be a great addition to an already developed area, plus new development would make it a destination as opposed to no development in St. Pete other than the stadium. Well, they're hoping to develop around it, but there's nothing that really makes them do it immediately. Like you said, for the first, it's 33% of the non-stadium development by the 10-year mark, 66% by the 20-year mark, and they don't have to fulfill what they're supposed to do there until 30 years down the road, which there might be a very different landscape by that point. What else we got here from Mario Christian? Sounds like the owner needs to put in 50 to 60% of his own money. And the Rays are putting up 50% of the stadium cost. So we'll give them credit for that. But, all the other money that's coming in the back door certainly makes up for that.
Why couldn't that have been done,
right,
years ago?
Exactly.
It's ancient history now.
Yeah. If he did not, and that would have been it would have been $450 million that they would have, and if they did the Tampa Stadium, which would already be built, and they already would have redeveloped Tropicana Field as well, the site with actual real development they need. Yeah, that would have been 450 with the naming rights. He would probably about 300 million. He would have probably had to put in 150 million of his own money and gotten, you could have made that back in 2 years and more revenue. So yeah, we're back to 7,000 on Tuesday nights. Yeah. What do you think it's the economy? I think it's the economy, stupid. I think the economy is so much worse this year than it was last year.
I don't know. I don't pay attention much to the economy and everything. I guess I look at my books and I go as I can, I guess. I don't know. I think they got off to that hot start last year, and there was a genuine buzz. Like they were the best team in baseball by far. And the game that I brought up to you, that was when the Rays were going for their 13th straight win.
Yeah.
And everyone
totally different feel.
It was a little bit of a different feel. Whereas this year, they're just hovering around 500. A lot of their star players are all hurt.
Yeah, James says, why would any local owner buy a team with a stadium at bad location unless heavily discounted? Well, that's the thing, that the two groups that had an offer to buy the Rays, I'm told, both wanted to build a stadium in Tampa. So yeah, if this deal gets done, it'll be hard to sell. It'll be really hard to sell. I like the old baby blues with the Rays written on. I like the baby blues. I don't know why.
I liked it when it said Rays on it, and then they took that off and put that little starburst on there, and I'm disgusted by it.
Agreed. I don't like the starburst. Tampa fans are front runners, says Yeezy. Give a good product, people show up. The last home Bucks game versus the Saints, it was full of red and a great experience until the game started. Oh yeah.
Got to clinch the division, and they put a stinker.
Yep. There's a lot of clickbait, not real news. A lot of media wannabes who are reporting watered down, partial stuff. Well, I mean, not to the modern media, like what you guys do it on 3 Sports. You don't actually go out there and cover the events, right? You're just repurposing.
We have people who do that. It kind of like in the departments, and then there's an aggregation, like a news desk.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing, responsible aggregation is, I guess, what I would call it. There's a lot of people who aggregate that don't look when they're aggregating news. they don't like put proper context behind it. And that's what
Right.
creates this clickbaity and misinformation, because it feels like even if you come across a quote that you're going to put in a story, you probably should go listen to where the quote came from to get the proper context. But it's people are lazy.
They don't do that. Yeah. Well, you even look at local coverage. You know, the Times used to have a beat writer for the Lightning, the Rays, and the Bucks, and they would travel with the team. They don't do that anymore. And that's, you know, that's financially generated. You know, just don't see the return on investment. And I get that from a business standpoint, but it's not great for the fans. It's just not great. Other cities find ways to do this, and we can't. Rick says, actually, JP, live radio, 2 hours of commercials and maybe an hour of talk. Nothing critical of the Rays. That's for damn sure. Yeah, I mean, that's just the way it is. They're the Rays station. They're going to be very, very – they're not going to criticize Stu at all, ever. If you do, you get fired. Trust me. Mario said, I did back in the mid-'90s. If a Bucks home game did come close to selling, either Fox would – well, Fox 13 – at CBS 10 would buy the last few blocks of tickets to get it on local TV. Yeah, they would, because there was that blackout rule.
That was the dumbest rule in the history of sports.
It was so dumb. Yeah. Lonnie says a lot of this has to do with broadcasting schools neutering anybody's personality. They want you to be drones and everybody is alike. I don't know. I didn't go to broadcast school. I went to journalism school in Florida State and FAMU, where we did our journalism classes. I don't know what Full Sail Dan Patrick show is putting out these days. The Dan Patrick Full Sail.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I will say a lot of I had a lot of people that were in the broadcast school, because there's 2 tracks in journalism, the digital and then broadcast. And both, they kind of, it's a little too old school, I guess I would say. Like they prep you for working at, you know, like small radio station, and there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. But they seem to teach you just one way of doing things, I guess, is kind of what the point he's making.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and nobody teaches you personalities in broadcast school unless they're telling you not to be, which, you know, and that becomes more for corporate media. Like, you know, like I would dare say the big dogs and Chris Thomas's of today would not play on corporate radio.
Why do you think like a guy like,
be allowed to say the things?
Look at McAfee.
Media.
Look at McAfee's a great example. McAfee's a great example. He's just a former football player who wandered into media and now has the biggest show on the biggest sports network in America. And when you watch Pat McAfee, like you mean to tell me you don't like, you sit up a little bit because like he's entertaining and the way he brings it to you. Absolutely. And like, even he's a very underrated interviewer as well, which is one of the most difficult things to do in this form of media, is interviewing, really. Yeah. Yeah. And he handles a lot of big guests and does it really well, makes it entertaining and informative. And he speaks like a normal human. Like I don't know if he got media training. He just kind of goes like he's himself. And that's why he sticks out.
Yeah, agreed. And I think I was listening to him the other day, and he was explaining something about how he's not constrained by the ESPN suits. So, because I guess he's like he explained it. I need to look into it more. He's like, we're part of, you know, we were purchased, or the show is purchased, but we're not part of the kind of under the umbrella of ESPN. That they run their own show, they do their own thing from a content standpoint. Although we saw with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing that if ESPN doesn't like something, they're going to come down hard, and it's gonna be a problem. I think the show has been completely neutered since it went to ESPN. You don't think so?
No, I mean, I watch it every day, just about. And I mean, listen, he goes out. I don't think he pulls any punches, really. And listen, I mean, maybe for the first 2 hours that it's on ESPN, you don't get like an F word, right? But like they still like cuss and everything, like when it fits and stuff. It's not like they're just doing it to do it. But then when the third hour goes on ESPN Plus, then there's like absolutely no restrictions whatsoever. Like they just had Nikki Glazer on there last week, and she was telling some of the jokes that didn't make it to the roast. Oh, and she was telling them like fully, like, you know, like TVMA style, essentially, on the show. Like, I don't think it's really been neutered at all. And like even the guy Norby Williamson that he called out on ESPN
Yeah.
that said that was trying to sabotage the show, and now Norby's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
That's interesting.
So I mean, I think I think he's just himself, and ESPN's okay with it, obviously, because I mean the ratings. I think it's the highest rated show that ESPN has.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Have you seen the other shows?
So you should see the one on FS1. I don't know how Skip is still kicking, man.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, this is true, by the way. Stu shared the stadium is 100% contingent on naming rights. Yeah, he knows that's going to bring and this, the city, if you're paying for half the stadium, should you not get half the naming rights revenue? Get any revenue? They get no parking, no concession, no nothing. They build parking garages and the infrastructure for the whole thing and get zero revenue or very little revenue. Yeah, it's not a good deal. We got to take one more break. We'll come back. God, I got a whole freaking page of stuff here we haven't got. I want to get to the freaking
we're gonna run
Panther
through them
stuff.
here. We're gonna run through it.
Quick break. We'll be back 3 minutes. We got to talk about goalie interference, for God's sakes. I'm still pissed off. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
It's Diamond Days at the Gold and Diamond Source because April's birthstone is diamonds. As they take center stage, get up to 20% off all diamond jewelry. And our first-time buyers program will help you get educated about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. And remember, you only want natural diamonds, folks. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. You don't want something that was made in a factory just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, your Gold and Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. You can always trade up at the Gold and Diamond Source for a bigger, better one. And they will spend the time to educate you about your diamonds and how to take care of them. And of course, consider the Gold and Diamond Source to maintain and insure your jewelry. They can professionally clean it, check the settings, and make any necessary repairs to keep your jewelry in top condition. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Head on over there to the Gold and Diamond Source. If you screwed up for Mother's Day, make it right. Make it right. All right, thanks to Italiano Insurance and Bay Area Modern Medical Center as well, BAMMC.com, and the Jeeves Law Group. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com. If you're involved in an accident, make sure you check in with them. All right, did you see? I am like rooting for the Bruins. I'm not rooting for them, but the goalie interference calls against the Panthers all went the Panthers' way. Last night, you saw the one. I mean, Bennett pushes Coyle in the back, who falls into Swayman, and then Bennett just puts it into the open net. Clearly, Swayman could not move because he was impeded by Cole. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know if
they challenged it and they said no. It was like
right.
How is that consistent with the calls in the Panthers?
It's not, and I don't even listen. I don't know if Swayman makes that save, even if he doesn't get pushed. That would have been a tough save to him for make regardless. But at the same time, like There's more contact there, I thought, than at least some of the calls, at least one of the calls, a Sorelli call in the first series against the Lightning, for example. There's way more contact here in this case than I thought there was there. It's just the inconsistency. I don't think the league knows what goaltender interference is. I don't think the refs know what it is. I don't think anybody knows what it is, but we're just rolling with it.
Yeah, to me, it's like Vasilevsky gets knocked on his ass after he is contacted and can't get over to make the save, and they say that's okay. There's just zero consistency to any of this stuff. And then here Sorelli's doing a little pirouette and breezes Bobrovsky, and that's goalie interference. I mean, it makes no sense. And on both of the ones in the Lightning series, Bobrovsky made the attempt to get over and was clearly not impeded in doing so, and just got beat by the shot. In both of these other examples, it's a free goal. And that's where it should come down to it to me. If there's any contact and the guy can't make the save and it's a free goal, you gotta. And
if you're a Boston fan, I mean, you already have it out. I mean, because Sam Bennett, I mean, he's a pot stirrer out there.
Yeah, of course.
And he had the hit on Marchand in Game 3, which resulted in Marchand not playing yesterday in that game yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah. And now it's 3-1 in that series, and Boston's not coming back from that.
No way. Golf yesterday, while Rory McElroy went mano a mano with Xander Schauffele and just absolutely destroyed him on the back nine. Rory just answered the bell, hold out a sand shot, hit great shot after great shot. He looked fantastic. Now here comes a major PGA Championship. He hasn't won since 2014. It's been 10 years.
He's probably going to be the favorite, I'm sure.
He's going to be the favorite. He's playing fantastic. God, I'm rooting for him. Get it done. Rose Zhang yesterday. Did you see her?
I did not.
She ended the Nelly Corda domination as she was going for her 6th straight. But coming down the stretch, she makes birdies on 4 of her last 5 holes to win. This is the young girl. This is her 2nd win on tour. Dominated collegiate golf. She's going to be a superstar. And the girl that she's playing against, I forgot her name. Hits a beautiful shot into 18, backs it up to like 6 feet for birdie. If she makes that and Zhang doesn't make birdie, then they go to a playoff. Well, Zhang hits her shot about equidistant, maybe a little bit outside of her, about 7 feet for birdie, rolls in the birdie putt. They burned 4 of 5. She is going to be a superstar.
Yeah.
So 2 big wins in golf yesterday, in case you missed it.
Can I just make real quick a point about Nelly Corda, by the way? Because if she would have won yesterday, that would have been 6 consecutive wins, right? 6 consecutive wins on the LPGA Tour, which would have been a record.
Mm-hmm.
How is it, as women's sports explodes, I haven't heard a single peep from anybody about what Nelly Corda is doing on the LPGA Tour?
I'm following golf, so I have and did, and I think there's been some press, but not as it should be.
No, and I understand Caitlin Clark plays a sport that's more, I get it. But if we're going to celebrate women's sports and try to push it more to the mainstream, I feel like we should do a better job of going to the other sports too. It can't just all be like Caitlin Clark holding that flag.
I agree, 100%. Shout out to Robinson Flag Football. They won their 9th state title and 8th consecutive yesterday. Damn. Jasmine Mitchner was the outstanding player. Hayden Spano, their quarterback, who's I think a freshman or sophomore. Leonard lost in the finals yesterday. So congrats to Robinson. That is absolute domination in a sport. No question about it. The Pacers drubbed the freaking Knicks yesterday. The Knicks are out of gas and out of players. They're beat up.
They're just out. Yep.
They're down. They're going to have to find some type of mesh. Obanabi, I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. The Nuggets, who I freaking buried last week. Wow.
Heart of a champion.
They won me a little pizza money last night on the Hard Rock app. They boosted their app. Did you see that? They boosted their winning to plus 155 and said, I can't say no to that. So laid a little pizza money on that, and they just drubbed them. That was a hell of a response from Jokic and Jamal Murray. And maybe the T-Wolves are. Did you see the dunk by Anthony Edwards, by the way?
Yeah, I mean he still went for 44 yesterday. I mean,
yeah, he feels really Jordan-esque. He really does.
Just looks like him out there, man.
God, so good. Yeah, he really does. The Connor McDavid. Did you see him get cross-checked?
Oh my goodness, the
night?
sandwich, and then
The sandwich. Holy
could
moly!
have taken his head off, man.
Yeah, that was scary. From the back, he got it from behind, and then was it Susie who gave him the
Susie, who
cross check to the neck?
I don't know if his disciplines come, but he shouldn't play for the rest of the
No.
the series for sure. I don't see how.
No, you can't do that. And so the NHL looks that I'm very much enjoying how that's going down these playoffs. So I'm watching a lot of it. All right, Nick, great job, my friend. Appreciate you. Appreciate all of you out there. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We need to get our numbers up. We appreciate you guys doing that. Tell a friend, tell an enemy, whatever. But please go like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, The JP Peterson Show. Also podcasts on Apple and Spotify. Check those out if you missed the show for any reason. Nick, I'll see you on Thursday. Great job. We'll be back tomorrow. Tim Ham will join me with Scott Reynolds and his thoughts on the rookie minicamp. We'll see you then.